Hiya. So I'm going to go over the solutions to those whopping 4 problems on the practice for graphing parabolas. So I think y'all got the email with the link to it. Okay, so the first one, if we take a look at it, and we have these 2 different formats that our function could represent. So if I look at this, I have this binomial squared, so that tells me it's going to be that format. So remember, HK is going to be my vertex. So remember, opposite of how it looks, exactly how it looks. And since the A is positive, that tells me it's going to open up. Okay, so we do our Cartesian coordinate system. Piece of cake. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to plot my vertex, -1, -4, so from the origin, -1 in the x direction, -4 in the y direction. And then I put my little axis of symmetry, cutting right through that vertex point. Okay, now remember, I need to do 2 points from one side or the other, but just to make it easier, we're always going to go to the right. So the next x value over from here is 0, and the one after that is 1. So I need to find f of 0 and f of 1. F of 0 just means to put a 0 in for the x. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1 squared is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. So that part's 2 minus 4, that's -2. So that gives me the point x, when x is 0, y is -2. So 0 in the x direction, -2 in the y direction. Remember, we want to stay symmetrical, so moving over in the x direction, one space to the right, it jumps to -2. So one space to the left will also jump to -2. Okay, then we need one more point, so we'll do f of 1. So I'm just going to put a 1 in there. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, remember, we're going to do our exponent first, then multiply, then subtract. So that tells me that when x is 1, y is 4. So from the origin, +1 in the x direction, +4 in the y direction. So from my axis of symmetry, 2 spaces to the right, it jumps up to 4. So 2 spaces to the left is going to jump up to 4 as well. And my artistic abilities have not improved. Okay, so hopefully everybody got that right. These aren't too bad when somebody explains them to you. Plus, I know you've all seen them before, so can't be that bad. Can't wait to get into the calculus stuff. Okay, so number 2. Okay, now if I look at this function, I don't have the binomial squared. Remember, binomials, 2 terms? Okay, so I don't have this hippie. So if I look at it, it's in this format. So I want to determine, for my problem, what represents A and what represents B. Here, remember, if there's nothing written there, it's a +1. And my B is 4. My vertex formula is -b over 2A. So that's -4 over 2 times 1. So that's -4 over 2 is -2. Okay, so that gives us the x part of the vertex for this one. To get the y portion, you just put this value in the function. So we find f at -2. Remember the parentheses around your negative values when you put them in. -2 squared plus 4 times -2 plus 1. So -2 times -2 is 4. Then that's a -8 plus 1. So that's going to give me -3. Okay, so my vertex then is -2, -3. And since A is a positive, it's going to open up again. Make your little graph. Okay. Okay. so from the origin, -2 in the x and then -3 in the y direction. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Good enough. Put my axis of symmetry. Still a great name for a band, I don't care what anyone says. Okay, gonna find the next two x values over, so I'm gonna find -1 and 0. So, I'll do that. Okay, so f of -1, parentheses, okay, so -1 squared is 1, minus 4 plus 1, that's going to give me -2. So when x is -1, y is -2. So from the origin, -1, -2. To keep the symmetry, notice I go one space to the right, it jumps up to -2, so one space to the left will jump up to -2. Okay, then we go over one more and we have f of 0. Well, that's real easy. 0 squared is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, so the whole thing is just going to equal 1. So 0, 1, 0 and a +1 is a point on my graph. Okay, for the symmetry, 2 spaces to the right jumps up to 1, 2 spaces to the left will also jump up to 1. Ta-da! Okay. Alrighty. So problem number 3. Okay, notice it is in this format because I have that binomial squared. So my vertex, opposite of how it looks, exactly how it looks. This is a negative number, the a, so it's going to be down. Okay, a little Cartesian coordinate system. Okay, 1. Not too great. Okay, so from the origin, +1, +3. We have our axis of symmetry. Okay, next two x values to the right, it's going to be 2 and 3. So we find f of 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1 times -2. That's -2 plus 3 is 1. Okay, from the origin, 2, 1. So one space to the right, it goes to 1. One space to the left will go to 1. One more point. 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. Plus 3 is -5. So 3, -5. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 2 spaces to the right drops down to -5. 2 spaces from your axis of symmetry drops down to -5. Okay. Okay, last one. I didn't even cut through the dot. I was good at dot to dots as a kid, I swear I was. Maybe I'm just thinking of one. Okay. Okay, so looking at problem number 4, I don't have the binomial squared thing, so it's in this format. I know it's a parabola because that's the section we're doing, but also because the highest exponent on my variable is a 2. Okay, so my a is 2 and my b is 4. So -b over 2a is -4 over 2 times 2. So it's -4 over 4 is -1. That's the x part of our vertex. To get the y part, stick it in the function. So f of -1, remember those parentheses. I know I sound like a broken record, but I've seen lots of test papers. So Okay, so 2 minus 4 is negative 2, plus 1 is negative 1. So negative 1, negative 1. All right? It's negative 2 plus 1. Okay, so my vertex is negative 1, negative 1. And because A is positive, it's going to open up. Cartesian coordinate system. Okay. Righty. So from the origin, negative 1 in the x, negative 1 in the y. Little axis of symmetry stuff. Okay, next two x values over to the right. So I'm going to use 0 and 1, my favorites, right? F of 0, well that's easy. If x is 0, this term is 0. This term is 0. The whole thing equals 1. So 0, 1. So 0 in the x, positive 1 in the y. One space to the right jumps to 1. One space to the left also jumps to 1. Get one more point. Okay, so 1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2. Plus 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1. So that's going to give me 7. So when x is 1, y is 7. So from the origin, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so for my axis of symmetry, 2 spaces to the right jumps up to 7. 2 spaces to the left will also jump up to 7. If you don't believe me, go ahead and put in a negative 3 in for x. That'll give you 9. That's 18. Minus 12 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. Okay? But you can use the fact that these are symmetrical to reduce the amount of arithmetic. So there you have it. So that's the whopping 4 problems. Now, I had to as I'm doing this, I'm reinstalling Microsoft Office because that wore out, and I had to empty out my cloud, and now my computer's like not very happy with me. So I'm going to post your practice test for combining both the graphing of parabolas as well as the domain and range. Just really simple stuff. And then I'll put a video on YouTube doing those solutions to that. And then I'll post your real test. Take it whenever you can, snap a picture of it, and email it to me. Okay, see ya.